welcome to the final episode of Season 2 for Behind the Wrestler. My guest this evening and for the final episode is none other than the mad scientist himself, Liam Fury. Thank you very much for taking the time out and giving us an inside story of Liam Fury.
No problem.
So the first question is, who, when, and where inspired you to become a professional wrestler?
So, I remember the exact moment I decided I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I can't tell you who else was in the match. It was around 2004, but it was a moment in the match when Rob Van Dam hit a split-legged moonsault. Can't tell you the rest of the match, could have been a tag for all I know, but it was an episode of SmackDown. It was a Saturday, and he had a split-legged moonsault, and I was just like, I want to do that. I want to do that. Pretty much from that moment forward, it was just all about like how do I become a wrestler. Yeah, it was my sister that got me into it. She's the one that first showed me wrestling when I was a kid, but yeah, 2004 I'm pretty sure. And watching Rob Van Dam do a split-legged moonsault.
Nice. I'm a fan of Rob Van Dam, so
yeah,
Rob Van Dam's awesome. So you, how did you come about trying to find a professional wrestling academy and schools, and how they did wrestling over in New Zealand?
So I had no plan how I was going to start wrestling. I was just at school, just a dumb kid, teenager, and like I was telling people, and they were like, oh, "How are you going to do it?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I'll figure it out." And then I was watching TV one day, and an ad for Armageddon in Auckland came up, and it said live professional wrestling. And I went, oh, what's that? So on the dial-up internet, on my old ass computer, jumped on, looked up Armageddon, and through that I found IPW. And through that I found that they had tryouts. So then I knew, I was like, there's my in. And that was, I think it was about a year and a half after that I actually had a tryout, because I saw they had one in I think it was 2016, or it was the end of 2015. Oh, what? 2016? 2006. Beginning of 2006 / end of 2005, but I was too young, I was like 14 or something at the time. They have an age limit of 16 to try out. And then I had my tryout at the end of 2006, but it was like 16 or within 3 months or something, and for me I was like 5 months out, so I emailed them and they said, no, that's fine, but your age will be a factor in our decision. And I was like, that's cool, I just want to try out. If I don't get it, worst comes to worst, I'll try out next year. And I got it. And,
nice.
Yeah.
Going into your first tryout, and going into your first academy, and what was the thought process? How did you prepare, and what was going through your mind through that day?
Shit. I couldn't tell you what my thought process was at the time. All I knew was like I was going to try out to be a pro wrestler. Like I had no idea what it entailed. Absolutely no clue. But I was just excited, and then when we walked into the training venue at the time, and I saw a wrestling ring, like in person, for the first time, I think I didn't really care what happened after that. Hey, I was just so excited. Like, I was like, that's a wrestling ring. I was like, oh, I want to get in the wrestling. I want to get in the wrestling. And honestly, on that day, I couldn't tell you what we did. I couldn't tell you what involved, what happened in the tryout, but it was a lot of fun. I just enjoyed it. I was just really excited. Preparing for it, like I said, I had no idea. I was always a pretty active kid, so I wasn't unfit. Like I was a skinny kid. I was a very skinny kid. But I think it's just because I spent 900 hours a day on the trampoline, and just running around and trying to do backflips off shit at school.
Nice.
That was pretty much what I did besides that and play video games. So I was always pretty active and agile, like I could move. So like a push-up was pretty easy. I used to try doing push-ups all the time just for a laugh, just to see what would happen. But yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea what to expect, but all I knew was I wanted to do it, so just going in with the mindset of whatever they say to do, I'll do it.
Nice. Fast forwarding down the track of you getting a couple of trainings underneath your belt and getting ready for your debut match. Finding out about your debut match, what was the preparation, the thought process, and like what was going through your mind when you were like, okay, this is it. I'm actually going to debut as a professional wrestler.
So my first match was at Armageddon. It was October 21st, 2007. And so I knew we were all going to have a match at that Armageddon, because that's kind of like the plate where they usually chuck you out and feed you for 5 minutes or whatever, and you get a small match. And I think I was just excited. Like, I didn't have nerves about it. Like, in all honesty, I didn't even think I cared about wrestling. Like, someone said you might get a match, so you should have your gear. So I had just a pair of black, like, training, like, skins type things, almost, or Under Armour stuff. And it was just like on the day, and we're just like, okay, it's like, who's wrestling today? And I was asking, and they said, do you have your gear? And I said, yeah, I've got it. And they were like, oh, well, all right, you can have a match. And they wrestled Little T. And I know a lot of people get real nervous about their first match, but I was really excited. I remember just sort of being like, I wanted to wrestle Little T. We'd talked about it before, like probably months before that day. I don't know. I didn't really feel nervous. I just wanted to go out there and like have some fun, get it over and done with, and I was really happy with it. Had a pretty good time. I mean, I'm sure if I watched it back now, I'd think it was absolute trash, but you know, that's how it is. But no, I don't know, I was always real relaxed about it when I first started wrestling. It was only when I started like debuting on shows, and I mean, I get like a little bit nervous now, like still, but there are certain matches where like if I feel like it's important, that's when it really starts to like hit me in the gut. But otherwise, like most times if it's a match, I'm like, yeah, no, it's a match. It's what I do. So like I'm always pretty calm and collected about it. And it was that way on my first match as well. I don't remember feeling super nervous. I just remember being like, yeah, I'm excited to get in the ring and try some stuff. It was cool. I enjoyed it.
And then, you know, having a few matches down underneath your belt, and then continuing on, and then fast forwarding to your first championship win, and you got your first title under your belt. What was the thought process of your first championship match, finding out about it, and the end result of you winning your first belt? What was the thoughts going through your mind then?
That was really cool, because my first championship win was the tag team titles, IPW tag team titles with Jason Burns, Mr. Burns. We were Pirates and Ninjas of Totally Awesome at the time, and we had been since 2008. So we won those belts in 2010. So we'd been teaming for this is our start of our fourth year. So we've been teaming for 3 years, and when we got told, you know, we're bringing in tag titles, that's when I got excited about tag team wrestling. Because after you've been in tag team wrestling for 3 years with no titles to compete for, you kind of feel like, what's the point?
Right.
You know? So that was a really cool moment, because you know, they being the first IPW tag team champions, like having your name on there, like it's always cool when you like get to do something for the first time in a promotion. Like we had, like again, me and him, we had the first ever cage match in 2016. 2016.
Yeah.
No shit, it was 2017. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, we had the first steel cage match, and in IPW, and like again, like that's another cool moment. And it was with the same guy. We may have been against each other, and in that instance. But you know, you're still making history, for lack of a better term. So yeah, when we got those, like, it was cool because we finally had something to wrestle for as a tag team, and it's a real special moment because it was my first title, but it was also the first time we had tag team champions in IPW. So I remember that match being very excited for it. And it was at the end of a tag team Royal Rumble as well.
Right.
Well, it was, what do we call it? The Eliminator, tag team Eliminator. So came out, wrestled. I think it was actually in that show we wrestled the opening match, and then we had the Eliminator, and then we had the championship match. It was pretty awesome. It's crazy. I enjoyed it. Loved it.
And then obviously you mentioned being in the first ever steel cage match that IPW hosted. What was the thought process of you stepping in to your first ever steel cage match and competing, and the start to finish, like the thought process and that whole day?
That was exciting. That was really exciting because it was like never done one before. Definitely seen many cage matches in my time, but never done one before. So we were just like, how do we do this? How do we do this? And when we got it organised and seeing how tall the cage was as well, like, you know, when we were figuring out how to actually set up the cage and we sussed it out, seeing how tall it was, I was a bit like, oh, it's actually really high. And then like, you know, and during the match, I made my entrance, and I climbed to the top of it, and you're just sitting on top of it and just looking at the crowd, and you're like, really high up? This is really cool. That whole match was so much fun. Just like, I like being creative in wrestling. Not like 100% of the time, but like when I get to try something new, like being in a ladder match for the first time this year as well, down at the SPW, a cage match, like in IPW, like I get to think about different things to do, try different things, and it was really exciting. It was really exciting. And then I jumped off the cage as well because, you know, why wouldn't?
Yeah.
And that was an insane feeling. That surprisingly, like, didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. It wasn't nice, but it still didn't hurt as much as I thought it would.
Yeah. Just that height.
Yeah, the height itself was like, it was just, I don't know, it was crazy. Like I'd love to do another one.
Yeah.
But that meant a lot because it was at the end of me feuding with the young Nats.
Right.
You know, it was the you know, the bullet point on that, full stop, whatever you want to say. So just like having that all built up, so much fun, so much fun, making magic. I love it.
And going into your first singles title win, which was the IPW Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
What was the thought process of you finding out about your first singles championship match and your first single title run?
Well, my first singles championship win was cashing in the Eliminator contract.
Right.
So I cashed in on Travis Banks, who had just finished wrestling his third championship match that night, and I jumped him from behind, and I used the machine head on him, which was the machine who we inducted into the IPW Hall of Fame this year. That was his finish. So how kayfabe was it? Doesn't matter. So I turned heel that night after being a face for 7-8 years or something stupid. So yeah, I turned heel, turned on Travis, won the belt. I'll be honest, like that night I wasn't too excited because I didn't do anything else. I literally came out at the end of the event, which was maybe like 2.5 hours long, and was in there for about 5 minutes total. But then being in the title, like having the title, being the champion, that was cool because it was going to be my first consistent main event run. So, and as cool as being in the main event is, part of me doesn't like it because you go on last, you have to wait the longest.
Yeah.
But when you do go on as the main event, you can, you pretty much have free reign over what you do in your matches. And usually it means is the trust that you're good enough to, do the matches, perform at a high level, and like always deliver the goods. So no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Definitely not as much as this time around. This time around I've much more enjoyed my title run. Technically I'm on my third now, but
yeah. So if people don't know, he's still he's the current IPW champion still.
As of this date.
As of this date.
As of this date.
So you mentioned that you're on your third IPW championship run, winning it for the second time. What was the thought process like? Did you ever think that you'll get it for the second time, let alone the third time?
Nah. So 2018 was like the year for me that I decided I was gonna like really dig down and take wrestling as serious as possible. And I've wrestled in nearly every promotion this year. Wrestling in New Zealand is not obviously super consistent, but in the last couple of years it's really picked up.
Yeah.
There's almost shows every weekend that you can be on, which is insane to me because when I started there was 3 promotions and one was in Auckland that ran once a month.
Right.
There's one in Wellington that I believe we were running once a month, and there was another one in Wellington, I think, but they didn't run as frequently.
Yeah.
KBM.
Yeah.
At the time. I can't remember. They may have been running more. I felt like they only ran like 4 times a year, but I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong about that. So, end of 2017, I was like, all right, I gotta sort my body out. A, I was falling apart. So I was like, okay, you gotta get back to the gym, you gotta start training properly. B, if you're gonna keep wrestling, you may as well put 100% into it. Don't just show up and wrestle and then get hurt and then get angry that you're hurt. And you know it's all your fault.
Right.
So 2018, I was like, I'm just gonna start wrestling. I'm just gonna put it all out there. And then it was like, oh, you're getting the title for the second time. And I was like, okay. And for me, I wasn't too fussed about that. For me, I just wanted to wrestle different people.
Right.
I just want to wrestle. I like to wrestle new people because I always find that exciting. But for me, I just wanted to go out there and wrestle. I didn't really care what the matches were.
Right.
But then we did the best of 5 series with Vinny, and then they're getting the second title win at the 15th anniversary show.
Right.
Against Mr. Burns. That was cool. That was really cool. But in my mind, the match itself wasn't as good as our rematch the next month.
Right.
Because we changed it up a little bit and ended up going for like a no DQ, no count out, and we just I don't know, something about that match, everything just clicked. It was amazing. But, getting the title reign for a second time and the third time with that little month where I didn't have the belt, it's been a lot funner than my first title reign. A lot more fun. Being a face, I prefer wrestling as a face.
Right.
It's just been like, I don't know, when they told me, I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, titles aren't something I really strive for.
Right.
I strive for new experiences, wrestling new people, just getting better in general. And if a title happens to come because of that, I'm cool with that. No problem. But when you do get a title, it is always a cool feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when you can go out there and they're putting the trust in you to go out there and have a really cool match as champion. So, lost my train of thought, but yeah, it's just been so much more fun. Like I've wrestled Burns, I've wrestled Dell, I got to wrestle Hinade.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure when this is coming out, but the setup for I get to wrestle Jacob Cross again for the first time in about 3 years, and he's always a blast to wrestle. And it's in the Fans Bring the Weapons match.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, that is going to be awesome. You mentioned, you got to wrestle Burns and Hinade and all these other guys. What was the experience like wrestling Hinade as he's signed to New Japan currently?
I know nothing about wrestling. That match, like that, it made me realize that I've got miles to go to be good. That was just a whole nother level. Like that forced me to step my game up.
Right.
Like that match, it made me go, uh-oh. I've really got to pick my game up. And like that's been my favorite match this whole year. Probably even of my career.
Right.
It was insane. Like and Hinade's on a whole nother level now compared to when I last wrestled him. I think it was in like a tag match in 2014 or something. Like, just his game is just fucking rocketed through the roof. Excuse my French. I'm honestly a bit speechless thinking about it. I can't describe like how I was excited before the match.
Right.
Felt incredibly like under pressure in the match, and then afterwards my mind was just blown, just in terms of like, I've still got so much more to go. I mean, I always knew I did, but like when you really wrestle someone that's levels and levels and levels above you, you go, oh shite.
Yeah.
So that opened my eyes massively.
And you mentioned going down to SPW, and they got amazing wrestlers down there. You go down there frequently to work the shows. Going down to the first, your first SPW show, and your first SPW match. What was the thought process of your first SPW experience and to what it is now?
Oh, it was awesome. Traveling down to Invercargill for the first time. So there's a lot of firsts. Went down to Invercargill, first SPW show, first SPW match, and it was my first ladder match.
Right.
It was awesome. It was so much fun. I just enjoyed every moment of it. Like, I feel like New Zealand wrestlers, especially, should, if they can, try to go to an SPW show. Whether it's to wrestle or just to just to go help out. Like, I find their shows are amazing. The whole crew down there just works so hard. So like, it's always such a good environment. I've never gone down there and gone, man, like I don't want to be here. Like
Right.
I always want to be there.
Right.
I don't know, and the fans there are awesome too. Like, maybe it's location, but in Chicago, man, they always manage to draw a really solid crowd, like a massive crowd, and it's always like so much fun. The crowd just makes so much noise, and they react real well, and they're always so excited to talk to you after the shows, and it was everything about it. I had so much fun, so like I was like, I've got to keep coming down to these shows.
Right.
So I think I've been down to just about every show they had except Halloween Haunting this year, and that was because I had a wrestling match up here for the title that I was already committed to. So, and I haven't done all their fight nights, but I did go down just last weekend as of this date, and wrestled there. So, and fight nights are great. Fight nights are awesome. There's like, it's at their venue, their training venue. It's, you know, again, the crowds, they just come and they make a bunch of noise and they're really excited to talk to you after the shows. It's so much fun. It's just fun.
What was your thought process? Because, you know, SPW just did a stadium show this year and they drew over 1,000 people. Over 1,000 people. And that's crazy.
That's insane.
What was the, you know, what was your experience and your thought process of like, oh wow, these guys actually drew 1,000 people and they actually did a stadium show?
My thoughts behind it were, I'm not surprised that they pulled it off at all. The way they run the business is like, whatever they're doing is working, and I like the way they run the business. I don't know. I'm definitely not surprised that they did it. They drew over 1,200 people. First time I wrestled in front of a 4-figure crowd. I mean, it's insane, but it proves what we can do in New Zealand with wrestling. It's just a matter of, you know, managing to tick all the right boxes. Like, at the moment, it's like timing can be a huge factor in crowds, all that sort of stuff. But they drew 1,200 people at a stadium show, and like, go out there. That was crazy. Like, you walk out and there's just people just everywhere, and you're just like, the walls are like ages away from you, and you're just like, oh man, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Everything just seems so much bigger.
Right.
Everything seems so much bigger. And you know, as far as like, it was cool because stadium, 1,200 people. But again, for me, it was the match itself. Like, I wasn't nervous about the match. Like, I enjoyed the match, had a lot of fun. But like, the match, it's like, if you'd taken away the match and I was just there, I like that still just blew my mind. The fact that this was happening in New Zealand wrestling, and I'm happy for the fact that they allowed me and Falcon Kid to be champions and defend our tag titles, SPW tag titles on that show. I don't know, we loved it. So much fun. So much fun. That many people, 1,200 people.
I know. So, you know, you've worked on pretty much every promotion that there is, and you're the top wrestler in the country, and everybody wants you on shows. Everybody needs you on their shows because you're just that good. And going into your debut match and debuting for Hughes Academy, what was the you know, thought process of that, and then evolving into wrestling Spencer Kyle, who is the current and the youngest champion ever? to win at the age of 16?
I was excited because I was wrestling another promotion. I at the beginning of the year, like I said, I wanted to take it more seriously. I wanted to wrestle more, and now that the grip on no, you can't wrestle other promotions that we had been lifted probably for a while, but I was at the time said I didn't really care. The year before that, 2 years before that, I was really excited to come wrestle, and I was very excited to wrestle Spencer because a young kid, you know, clearly has an incredible desire and passion for it.
Right.
So it was exciting. I really enjoyed that match. I had a lot of fun with that match. And I think the kid could easily be amazing. Easily. So I'm excited to see what he does. I'm very excited to see what he does. I love wrestling. I love wrestling for Hughes. Like, I've had a debut match. That was in May.
Yep.
And then like the 2-3 shows I've wrestled since then.
Yep.
Yeah, 3. That's right. Devon, Jimmy, and Butler.
Yep.
I don't know. It's always fun. I always enjoy showing up and, you know, having a wrestle, and like again, like the environment always feels it's a real nice environment. I like hanging out. You know, I like Graham. He's a really good dude. Treats me well. You know. It's just fun. I mean, yes, people tend to call me at the moment the best in New Zealand at this time, but that part I can do without that. I don't really need to hear that because it's a bit of pressure when you show up and have to wrestle. But the fact that with that comes people wanting me to be on these shows,
right.
That and people wanting to wrestle, that's the part I enjoy. So. With that being able to come to wrestle for Hughes Academy, I'm thankful for that. It's so much fun, and wrestling Spencer. Hopefully I can wrestle him again in the future, and beat him again.
Obviously, Spencer Cowell did have a question for you.
Yep.
And his question is, who trained you? Because he's really wants to know who trained you, because he learned a lot from your guys' match, and he pretty much can't shut up about it.
So my main trainers, I might be able to throw another name in there, but from when I started, the 3 guys that gave me the most information, like, I would say, you know, if I take the training from anyone else, I feel like I wouldn't be where I am.
Right.
The Machine, Hall of Famer for IPW this year. He was such a big dude, but like, you know, he was always just he loved wrestling. He loved wrestling so much, and just, you know, put a lot of passion into training us, and we always had a lot of fun training with him. Alfred Valentine, you know, the dude's a bit of a wizard when it comes to wrestling. He's got such a mind for it. Just like real, like, he's all about those real, you know, fiddly details.
Right.
And like, because of that, I picked that up off him, like tiny little things. Like I try not to put that much of an emphasis on it. Yeah. But it definitely is in my mind when I'm doing things, you know, those tiny little, the way you move, all that sort of stuff. And then, in my opinion, who I actually think is the best wrestler in New Zealand, Kingy. Right. He's the third. Those are the 3 that I associate as training me. I think Kingy could easily, like, make it 100%. And the guy's always he's always given me so much information. You know, every match he'll tell me, he gives me information, he feeds me information, what I can improve on. And he's got such a mind for it. you know, just the whole aspect, you know, gimmick, ring work, positioning, all that stuff. Anything he's been taught, he absorbs, and he's able to share it
Right.
so easily. So yeah, so the Machine, Alfred Valentine, King. Those are my 3 trainers. I mean, I've had multiple other trainers in that time. Those are the 3 I really feel like I've drawn most of my wrestling from, and then from there I've managed to evolve it myself and grow it.
Right. Like who do you your style of wrestling? Who do you take inspiration from, and is there a certain style that you prefer, or do you just go with the flow and freestyle it?
I think when I started, a lot of my inspiration just came from cruiserweights.
Right.
Just high flyers in general and stuff like that. And then as I watched more independent wrestling from the Americans, and that around the same time I was starting to watch more Japanese. So, you know, a lot of striking. And I've always been a fan of martial arts, even just films, you know, watching fighting. So, there's not one person I'd really take, because I always take bits and pieces from people. Mannerisms about where they move sets, the way they hold themselves. But I've sort of, at least in the last few years, especially this year, I'm just kind of going with it, just seeing what happens. Because wrestling for me is like it's super subjective. I think for everyone it's subjective. Like your best can be someone else's best. You know, you might think Daniel Bryan's the best. Someone might think AJ Styles is the best. There's the age-old argument: Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart.
Right.
You know, everyone's gonna be on one side or the other. I prefer Shawn.
Right.
But I love Bret too. So, you know, it is completely subjective. So I think the best thing for people to do is just try stuff, and if it doesn't work, try something else. So for me, I don't really. I mean, you could probably say like I've had a lot of heavy influences, like Davey Richards. A lot of high fly striker guys, you know, Low Key, Prince Devitt, those guys like Daniel Bryan as well.
Yeah.
You know, just those sorts. Like I love all wrestling, and I love like every aspect of it. There's not one style I prefer.
Right.
I mean, you could make an argument that I prefer more shoot style wrestling, because to me I just like to watch it. But then I do enjoy a fan, you know, Toru Yano from New Japan. I find the dude hilarious. I love watching him work, you know, and I love seeing like lucha libre, you know, when like all the head scissors and the way they just fly around each other's bodies so easy, like all that. I just love wrestling. So like there's no one style that I prefer to watch over anything. I just like wrestling.
Going into from when you started to where you are now, and the evolution that New Zealand wrestling has gone through, that there's more eyes on it now than there ever was, and it's just going to evolve and get bigger and bigger. What is your opinion and your thoughts on the New Zealand wrestling scene now as it's growing to be this this big thing that's going to just continue?
My thoughts are that I think New Zealand wrestling has a long way to go.
Right.
And I feel like we've got a shorter time to do it. Especially now that the internet has blown up independent wrestling. You know, people from the other side of the world can now watch New Zealand wrestling because you chuck it on the internet, you put it out there, it's available. And like, I get annoyed watching my own stuff, to be perfectly honest. So I think like we've definitely got the potential. 1,000,000% New Zealand wrestling has the potential, but I feel like we have a long way to go and we need to do it faster than most.
Right.
At least not to get left behind. There's definitely, there's definitely still wrestling in America, UK, independents that also have a long way to go. They're probably worse off than us. Easy.
Right.
Easy. But I definitely think New Zealand wrestling has the potential. I want to see New Zealand wrestling grow bigger and better. I just want more eyes on wrestling. I can't really put it into words,
Right.
but I love it, and I think we've got so far to go. Like I'm talking everyone.
Right.
I mean, SPW's online presence is insane, but that's not the stuff I'm worried about. I'm like in ring. So for all the wrestlers, the workers, we've all got work to do.
Right.
All got work to do. But we should never ever get complacent and feel like we're at it. Everyone should be trying to lift everyone's game up all the time.
Right.
And just help each other along the way. I think that's a big thing. We are so small. New Zealand wrestling is so small. It would be wrong for us to not try and help everyone we can.
Right.
All the time, because it's just, if we get eyes on New Zealand wrestling, we're sharing wrestlers and shows. We get someone watches Hughes Academy. They see Charlie Roberts.
Right.
They go, oh yeah, look up Charlie Roberts. Oh, he's wrestled in Maniacs. Oh, he's wrestled in IPW. Oh, he's wrestled in SPW. All of a sudden, you've got, and then they find more wrestlers from there, and they find they work all these promotions, and you got UCW as well down south, and now CPW that started up.
Yeah.
There's even Asylum. I wrestled for them in August, I think it was.
Yeah, that was their first show.
Yeah, that was really good. I had a really good time there. And that they had a lot of guys from other promotions come down for that, and even Hanade wrestled on that show.
Yeah.
It gets more eyes, so I feel like we should just be always trying to improve. Always trying to improve. I love the New Zealand wrestling scene as it is. It's huge at the moment. There's so many promotions for people to work for. There's wrestling almost every other week. It's a fantastic start, but I know we can go better.
Yeah.
I know we can go better, and I'm excited to see what we can do.
What is your ultimate goal that you would like to get out of as a professional wrestler? Is it to go to the WWE, to go to New Japan, to go to Ring of Honor, or to go overseas or and wrestle everywhere and for everyone?
I'd love to wrestle. There's no place that I don't want to wrestle.
Right.
I want to wrestle everywhere. I don't have a desire for WWE. Japan is the goal.
Right.
In terms of where. But my ultimate goal in professional wrestling is to make a living off of it.
Right.
That's my goal.
Right.
I just want to wrestle, and I want to be able to, pay my bills through wrestling.
Right.
That's pretty much it. And I just want to keep getting better at wrestling. And, hopefully I'll make that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, of course I'd love to wrestle for the WWE. Like NXT is amazing. I love watching NXT. And I think if New Japan ultimately, like location-wise, would be the desired. That'd be the desired place for me to go.
Right.
But end of the day, I just want to be able to pay my bills, eat, pay rent if I'm renting or whatever. Just that with wrestling.
Yeah.
With wrestling. That's the ultimate goal for me. Is just make enough money that I can, live.
What is do you have any advice for any of the new up and coming wrestlers that's trainees for IPW, trainees for Hughes Academy, trainees for Maniacs, SPW, PWE, so on and so forth? Do you have any advice for the younger guys that obviously look up to you as like this is the guy I need to get advice from?
Watch lots of wrestling.
Right.
Watch lots of wrestling. And don't just stick to the people you know. And don't just stick to one style. Like, I know the UK independent scene is huge right now, but don't just watch matches from them.
Right.
Try go watch some older Japanese stuff. Try watch, old American, that Memphis style. You could watch, NWA, AWA, especially with all the stuff that's, on the WWE network. YouTube stuff from Mexico. Just watch everything you can. Every time you wrestle as well, this is something I didn't do. I kind of regret it, but is try to film all your matches.
Right.
Get all your matches available for you, and then give them to people and ask for advice. If you can put, I guess these days you only need it on the internet somewhere, like maybe a couple of matches, get a couple of matches, and then if you want to try to get booked to other places, I think that's very important, because wrestling more people, you learn different stuff, you can pick and choose what you actually want to take. Watch more wrestling, wrestle more, get your matches available and send them places and see if they get an interest in you. Travel, go train other places. Even if you just want to wrestle in New Zealand, I would say get out for a bit just so you can come back with more to offer.
Right.
Obviously it's all circumstantial. Everyone can only do so much. I guess depending on your age, your situation, but at the very least, get your matches, send them out to people, ask for advice. Always ask for advice. Never settle. Never settle. Always look to improve. I'm forever looking to improve. I always ask people after my matches, I'm like, got anything? Got anything? And I try to take as much advice from anyone as I can. Whether I agree with it or not, if someone says some advice you don't like, don't get offended by it.
Right.
Just take it with a grain of salt. I take everything I hear with a grain of salt, but I try to internalize it, think about it, see what I can possibly get out of it. You take what you can, take what you want, and just listen. Just always look to improve. Never settle. I think stay hungry. Learning from different people is a big one. Just absorb wrestling. That's my advice. Absorb wrestling.
Right.
if I gotta round it up into a couple of words, just absorb wrestling.
Right. What's next for Liam Fury?
When does this come out?
Comes out next week.
Comes out next week?
Yep.
Okay. What's next for Liam Fury is I defend my title.
Right.
That's what's next. As long as I've got the title, I'm here. New Zealand. And after that, I'm not too sure. But I like to play things by ear. I've obviously got goals and aspirations, but while I'm champion in IPW and I guess holding down the fort, I need to be readily available. So for me, right now, it's just defending the title and trying to keep IPW going at this stage. That's what's next. After that, it's up in the air. We'll see what happens.
Thank you very much for taking the time out to give us an inside story of Liam Fury. Thank you for the advice that you have given. And we will catch you guys next time for season 3, which will be next year in January. And thank you very much for this final episode of Season 2 with the mad scientist, Liam Fury.
Thank you very much. I hope my ramblings made sense. I hope they made sense.